want you to imagine for a second that you walk into your kitchen, it's late at night.
Right, you're just getting a snack or something.
Exactly. You're stressed from work, you let out this big, heavy sigh, and you reach for the refrigerator door.
Okay.
But it doesn't open.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's locked. The digital display on the fridge flashes red, and this soft, automated voice informs you that your patriarchal sighing has been registered as an act of ambient aggression.
Oh my God.
And your access to sandwiches is literally locked until your biological indicators return to a state of compliance.
That sounds terrifying.
Right. Or, picture this. Imagine you're a corporate executive and you are legally mandated by federal occupational safety laws to produce exactly 0.5 milliliters of physical tears.
Like actual crying.
Actual physical tears. Every single quarter during shareholder meetings, just to prove you aren't a toxic liability to the company.
Wow. That is just wild.
It really is. Usually when we look at political manifestos on this show, we expect, these sweeping historical grievances or abstract utopian ideals.
Right, big philosophical concepts.
Exactly. But what happens when a manifesto isn't a philosophy text at all? What if it's a literal, tactical field manual for biological, psychological, and institutional warfare?
Well, you end up with a blueprint that basically seeks to reverse engineer human interaction, brick by psychological brick.
Welcome to another deep dive. We are so glad you are here with us today to explore this one.
It's going to be a heavy one.
Oh, absolutely. Right up front, guys, please hit that like button and subscribe to the show so you never miss out on our deep dives.
Seriously, it helps us out so much.
It does. And I guarantee you, once we get into the meat of today's topic, you are going to be completely hooked.
No doubt about it.
And hey, if you want to check out the source material for yourself, you can actually buy the ebook we're reviewing today on Amazon Kindle and Google Playbooks.
Highly recommend looking at it yourself, just to see the primary source.
Yeah, because today we are unpacking this highly controversial, wildly provocative 2025 ebook by Connie Riker. It's titled The Misandrist's Guide to Dominating Society: How Women Took Over the World.
And before we get into the weeds here, we really need to draw a very firm line in the sand for everyone listening.
Definitely. Let's do the disclaimer.
Right. So our mission today is completely impartial and objective. We are simply exploring the source material.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Right. Riker frames this book as a work of edutainment, so it reads as this radical, satirical, and yet chillingly methodical manifesto.
Yeah, chillingly methodical is the perfect way to describe it.
And we just want to be clear. We are not here to take sides. We are not endorsing these extreme viewpoints, and we are not validating the politics.
We're totally neutral here.
Exactly. We are treating this text like analysts examining a newly discovered, almost like military strategy guide.
Yeah, like what exactly is the author's blueprint? And what are the psychological and societal levers she proposes pulling to execute it?
Right. And if you look closely at who this book is actually written for, the target demographic, it seems to be aimed squarely at a very specific subset.
Oh, totally. Who would you say that is?
Well, the text is clearly written for a female supremacist audience, essentially those who are, frankly, possessed by their negative animus. And they're allied with cultural Marxists who are actively attacking masculinity and Western civilization.
Yeah.
That's the explicit vibe of the audience she's writing to.
Yeah, that context is super important just to understand the tone of the book.
Exactly.
And what struck me immediately when reading this is how Riker structures this blueprint. It operates in stages of escalation.
Like a ladder.
Yes, she doesn't just come out and say, take over the world. She maps it out, starting from the very core of personal emotional control.
The micro level.
Right, and then she expands that outward to interpersonal psychological traps you can spring on individuals. Then she scales that up to a full institutional and academic takeover. And finally, she concludes with this massive biological and environmental endgame. It's a complete societal rewrite.
It really is. So let's start right at that foundational level.
Let's do it.
Because before you can control a society, or even another person, Riker argues you have to weaponize your own internal state.
Right, which sounds exhausting, honestly.
Oh, completely. Specifically, she targets two emotions, anger and sadness. She calls female anger sacred rage and holy fire.
Holy fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
But she doesn't treat it as something you just, feel in the moment. She treats it as a biological asset.
An asset, like a resource you can mine.
Exactly. And she grounds this in an actual study. She cites a 2017 UCLA brain scan study.
Wait, really? A real study?
Yeah. This study claimed that when women scream into pillows, their cortisol levels, which is, the primary stress hormone, drop by 34%.
34%. That's a huge drop just from screaming into a pillow.
It's massive.
So she's taking that data and building a strategy around it.
Yes. She's commodifying the emotion. She's taking this very basic, universal psychological release mechanism, just venting your frustration, and framing it as basically a software update for the human psyche.
That is so wild. Like she's hacking the brain.
Precisely. If you understand the mechanism of cortisol, it's the fight or flight chemical, right?
Right, the stress juice.
Yeah, and it damages your body over time if it stays elevated.
Yeah.
So Riker argues that traditional society wants women to swallow that cortisol.
Just stay polite and quiet.
Exactly. To stay polite and just suffer the physical consequences.
Jeez.
But by screaming into what she calls a patriarchy smasher pillow.
Wait, what? A patriarchy smasher pillow?
Yes. And she advises keeping one in literally every room of your house.
You have got to be kidding me. Every room.
Every room. She says by doing this, you are aggressively purging the toxin. Anger is no longer this spontaneous, messy reaction. It is a calculated, harvestable asset.
So you stay biologically optimized while you plan your next move.
Exactly.
That's fascinating. But it's the tears where her strategy really moves from internal optimization to external weaponry.
Oh yeah, the tears are where it gets intense.
Because if anger is for the self, sadness is for the enemy. She literally calls this tear gas tactics.
Tear gas tactics. And she backs this up with data, too.
Yes, she does. She cites this 2016 Harvard Law Review study, which analyzed courtroom outcomes.
Okay, what did it find?
The data showed that plaintiffs who actively cried in court received financial payouts that were 73% higher than those who maintained a stoic, calm demeanor.
73%. That is a massive financial incentive to cry.
Right. So Riker takes that statistical reality and she builds a combat discipline out of it. She actually terms it lacrimal jujitsu.
Lacrimal, referring to the tear ducts.
Exactly.
And, the mechanism she's exploiting here is fascinating from a purely biological standpoint.
How so?
Well, Riker asserts that female tears actually contain trace amounts of their own cortisol and prolactin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she claims that when these chemicals are perceived by a male target, it biologically triggers submission or panic in them.
Wait, literally smelling the tears causes a chemical reaction in the guy.
That's what she claims.
Yeah.
And to press this asymmetrical biological advantage, she notes a very specific statistic about men.
Okay, lay it on me.
She says that 89% of male executives suffer from dry eye syndrome.
89%.
Mostly due to, screen time and aging.
Eh.
So, physically, they literally cannot compete on this battlefield.
They can't cry back.
Right. They are biologically unarmed.
That level of calculation she demands from the reader is just staggering. I mean, think about this. She describes these underground cry-fu workshops.
Cry-fu. Like kung fu, but crying.
Exactly. And apparently they teach women to execute a precise 22.5-degree head tilt during a conversation.
Wait, why that specific angle?
Because according to her, that specific angle maximizes the ambient light refraction off a tear, making it hyper-visible to the target.
You're joking. They calculate the light refraction.
I am dead serious. It gets crazier. She recommends keeping onion oil pens in your purse to artificially stimulate the tear ducts.
Onion oil pens?
Yeah, or pre-moistening your corneas with a menthol stick right before delivering a key soundbite.
A menthol stick to the eye. That sounds incredibly painful.
I know, but she even suggests using the synthetic tear gum resin during salary negotiations.
Tear gum resin?
Yeah.
What even is that?
It's like the stuff you apply under your eye, and it creates a permanent glossy tear trail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you sit across from your boss with this shiny tear trail, and you just whisper the word inequity.
And it's just designed to completely short-circuit the other person's rational decision-making process.
Totally. And then she scales it up to a systemic level. You mentioned the OSHA mandates earlier in the intro.
Right, the tier quotas.
By 2028, her blueprint proposes that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration literally mandate tier quotas for male CEOs.
Federal law mandating crying.
Yes. Failure to produce that 0.5 milliliters of tears per fiscal quarter triggers an automatic corporate diversity audit.
Unbelievable.
She calls it reparative justice. And she points to the entertainment industry to prove that this is financially viable.
Oh, she brings up reality TV, doesn't she?
She does. She cites the Real Housewives franchise, which she claims generates something like $4.3 billion annually from televised revenge and emotional meltdowns.
4.3 billion.
Yeah. She says every tear shed on screen is literally a liquid asset traded on the stock market.
But, I have to throw a flag on the play here.
Go for it.
Think about what this actually means for the person doing it.
Right.
If you were sitting in your car before a date or a board meeting, smearing tear gum resin under your eyes and hitting your tear ducts with a menthol stick just to win an argument,
Yeah.
aren't you effectively murdering your own emotional authenticity?
Oh, that's a good point.
It treats human interaction not as a space for genuine connection, but as, like, professional wrestling.
It's totally performative.
Right. It's performative warfare for capital gain, like high-stakes poker where your face is just a tool.
That is a very sharp critique. But, from Riker's perspective, that loss of authenticity isn't a tragedy at all.
She doesn't care.
No, she thinks it's an evolution. You have to understand the core mechanism of her philosophy here. She operates on the premise that the entire concept of emotional authenticity is a trap.
A trap set by who?
By a patriarchal system. She says it was designed to ensure women remain transparent, vulnerable, and ultimately compliant.
Ah, I see.
So if authenticity makes you predictable, then abandoning it for strategic performance is the ultimate liberation. You become completely unreadable.
Wow. Okay. That is incredibly cynical, but internally consistent with her logic.
Right. And once you master the ability to manufacture and deploy your own emotions on command, you are fully equipped for the second phase of her manual.
Which is destabilizing the target's mind.
Exactly. This brings us right out of the realm of self-control and into interpersonal combat.
Chapter 3, I believe.
Yeah. She calls this the double bind and social sabotage.
The double bind. Let's unpack that.
So the blueprint for the double bind is essentially weaponized cognitive dissonance.
Okay, give me an example of how that works.
You demand total vulnerability from a man. You tell him he needs to open up, be emotional, maybe cry.
Right, the modern expectation.
Right. But the absolute second he does, you weaponize that vulnerability against him. You immediately demand he be a stoic provider and simultaneously brand his emotional strength as toxic.
So he literally cannot win.
He can't. He's trapped in a contradiction.
And again, she's not just talking of being difficult for the sake of it. She claims to be hacking human biochemistry with this tactic.
Biochemistry again.
Yes, she points to a 2019 fMRI study from UCLA.
UCLA is coming up a lot in this book.
They are. This study supposedly showed that women experience an 18% surge in oxytocin when they watch men grapple with these exact unresolvable contradictions.
Now, wait, hold on. Explain that. Because we usually hear about oxytocin as the cuddle hormone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The thing released during bonding or hugging or whatever, why would a bonding hormone surge when you are psychologically torturing someone?
It's a great question, and it gets to a really deep misunderstanding of how oxytocin actually works in the brain.
Okay, educate me.
It's not just about love or cuddles. It's actually about tribal cohesion.
Tribal cohesion.
Right. It promotes extreme bonding with your in-group, your people, but it also promotes defensive and sometimes highly aggressive behaviors toward the outgroup.
Oh, so it makes you aggressive to outsiders.
Yes. When you see an outgroup member, in this case the male target struggle, the brain rewards you with oxytocin because it registers that you are successfully protecting your own tribe's interests.
That is wild.
Riker claims this oxytocin hit is actually stronger than what you'd get from hugging a friend. So the psychological destabilization of the male is framed as a biologically addictive reward loop.
That is terrifyingly clinical.
It really is.
And the day-to-day tactics she recommends to achieve this are just incredibly specific. Take the 1.5 drink differential. Oh, this part was so manipulative.
Right. Riker advises that when you are negotiating the terms of a relationship, or even just having an argument, you quietly ensure the man consumes exactly 1.5 more alcoholic drinks than you do.
It's straight out of a Cold War interrogation manual.
Literally. Like, how do you even measure that? I'll have a spritzer and make sure he has a double IPA and a half shot.
Well, the biology of mild intoxication means his prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for logic and defense mechanisms, dulls just enough to make him agreeable and compliant.
Ah, so his guard drops.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you remain entirely sharp, which allows you to extract concessions he wouldn't normally agree to.
That is so dark. And she pairs that with constant surveillance, too.
Right, the secret recordings.
Yeah. The book advises women to actively encourage private emotional confessions under the guise of creating a safe space with no judgment.
But it's a trap.
It's totally a trap.
Yeah.
Because you secretly record these audio confessions on your phone, then you upload them to a secure cloud server, creating this massive archive to be used when?
To be deployed months or even years later in family court proceedings to prove emotional instability.
Oh my gosh, that is premeditated on another level.
It is. She also gets into linguistic camouflage.
Yes, the reframing of behavior. This is crucial for her strategy.
Right, because if you want to systematically break someone down, you can't use language that makes you look like the aggressor.
Exactly. So Riker writes that nagging should be legally and therapeutically redefined as boundary enforcement.
Boundary enforcement. It sounds so official.
It does. And if the man sighs out of exhaustion, that sigh is categorized as a microaggression.
So you are controlling the vocabulary of the relationship.
Which means you control the reality of the relationship.
And if controlling the vocabulary isn't enough, you control the physical environment. Her chapter on social sabotage is entirely about isolation.
Total isolation.
The explicit goal here is to systematically destroy a partner's male friendships.
And why is that?
So that when the divorce inevitably happens, because she assumes it will, he has zero support system left.
No one to turn to.
Exactly. She celebrates this tactic of geographical and spatial infiltration.
Okay, give me an example.
Say he has a dedicated sports den or a garage where his friends gather on the weekends.
His man cave, basically.
Right. The book says you slowly annex that territory. You start putting a yoga mat there, then some crystals. You slowly convert it into a crystal healing yoga space.
And that actually drives the friends away.
Apparently.
Oh.
The book claims this specific tactic results in a 78% loss of close male friends within just 2 years of marriage.
78%. Wow. Riker actually refers to this as the emotional neutron bomb.
A neutron bomb. That's a dark metaphor.
Well, a neutron bomb, conceptually, is designed to destroy living tissue while leaving the physical infrastructure completely intact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Here, the goal is to destroy the man's interpersonal bonds and emotional resilience while leaving his financial resources perfectly intact for extraction later.
That is chilling.
She calculates that men with fragmented or non-existent friend groups will capitulate in divorce negotiations 40% faster.
40% faster.
Oh.
Just because they don't have buddies to vent to.
Exactly. They have no anchor.
She doesn't even spare the dating phase, by the way.
Oh, right, the ghostlighting.
Yeah, she talks about ghostlighting on dating apps.
What is that? Exactly.
This is where a woman matches with a guy, engages really heavily, lots of texting, deep conversations, and then completely vanishes, ghosting him.
Just poof, gone.
Gone. But then, days later, she reappears acting as if absolutely nothing happened and immediately demands favors or investments like, hey, buy me dinner.
And what does that do psychologically?
Roker claims this induces a state of severe anxious attachment in the guy, and it drops his self-esteem by 32% before the first date even happens.
So they show up to the date already pliable and insecure.
Exactly. But I really want to throw another flag here.
Let's hear it.
Think about what we are actually describing right now. If the ultimate utopian goal of this manifesto is female liberation, independence, ruling society, all that stuff,
Right.
doesn't spending literally every waking hour micromanaging a partner's social life, down to infiltrating his Tuesday poker night with kale chips to drive away his buddies, doesn't that sound utterly exhausting?
Oh, it sounds like a full-time job.
Ironically, by making it her full-time job to be his warden, hasn't she tethered herself entirely to the exact person she claims to despise?
It's a brilliant paradox you identified there, and I think it reveals how Riker actually defines power.
How so?
For her, liberation is not separation from the enemy. Liberation is the total subjugation of the enemy. The energy expended in managing him isn't a burden. It is the active sensation of power. It's how she feels alive.
That's a very twisted way to look at relationships.
It is. But your critique actually mirrors Riker's own structural pivot in the book.
Oh, really? She addresses that.
Yeah, because you are right. Micromanaging a living room, tracking drink differentials,
Right.
and infiltrating poker nights is exhausting. And it's inefficient on a mass scale.
It doesn't scale up.
Exactly. Personal isolation is merely step one. Step two is automating that isolation so you don't have to do the heavy lifting anymore.
So you encode it into the institutions.
Exactly, which moves us into the macro level, the institutional takeover.
Section 3. We are talking about the law, the media, and the corporate world.
Yes.
Riker proudly details strategies she literally calls the judicial jihad and the media mindfuck.
She loves her alliteration.
She really does. Let's look at the courts first. She describes family courts as a financial drone strike.
Which is very telling. Riker views the entire concept of traditional due process, the presumption of innocence, the burden of proof.
The bedrock of the legal system.
Right. She views all of that as a purely patriarchal construct,
Okay.
designed historically to protect male power.
So she doesn't believe in a fair trial.
Not at all. In her paradigm, utilizing traditional justice is playing a rigged game. Therefore, the strategy is to bypass the court entirely, using public opinion and corporate panic.
Ah, the court of public opinion.
Yes, and this is where her ratio to ruin formula comes into play on social media.
Oh man, explain how that math works, because it's chillingly precise.
It really relies on the mechanism of social proof. Riker calculates that if an accusation is leveled against a man online, she looks at the quote tweets.
Quote tweets, which usually mean people are dunking on you or outraged.
Exactly. If the quote tweets exceed 200% of the original post's likes or retweets.
So a 2-to-1 ratio of hate to likes?
Right. If it hits that 200% threshold, the probability of that man being terminated by his employer hits 92%.
92%. So it's basically a guaranteed firing.
Practically, yes. The actual truth of the accusation becomes mathematically irrelevant.
Because the corporation isn't responding to facts.
No, the corporation is responding to the algorithmic liability, the PR nightmare.
And the companies are eager to comply. Riker celebrates the fact that Fortune 500 companies are beginning to remove human HR departments from the equation entirely.
Just automating the firings.
Exactly. They rely instead on automated firings through tools like reputation defender scores.
How does that work?
Imagine you work at a firm and the AI algorithm constantly scrapes your social media mentions in real time.
Okay.
If your social credibility score drops below a 3.0 out of 5, the software just locks your keycard. It severs your payroll.
Wow.
There is no meeting with the manager, there is no investigation, you are just excised from the building.
And from the corporate perspective, Riker claims this is highly appealing to them.
Why? Because it's cheaper?
Cheaper, yes, but mostly because it supposedly reduces their legal liability by 400%.
400%. How?
They could just blame the algorithm.
Yeah.
It wasn't a human bias. The computer did it based on community guidelines.
That is so dystopian. Meanwhile, back in the legal realm, the book outlines a concept she calls alimony algebra.
Alimony algebra. It's meant to be satirical, I think. But the application she suggests is very real.
Walk us through the formula.
The formula she teaches is child support equals the father's income multiplied by the mother's resentment plus the mother's laziness squared.
Wow. That is incredibly blunt.
It is. It sounds absurd, but she actually cites real historical precedents to justify how the bar for extracting these resources is incredibly low.
Yeah, she brings up a 1956 case, Silver v. Silver.
Right.
Now, Riker claims this case established the precedent that male breathing in a shared space constitutes a sufficient threat of emotional distress to justify lifetime alimony.
Male breathing.
Just breathing.
Now, whether her interpretation of that specific case law is accurate is beside the point.
Right, she's probably twisting it.
She definitely is. But she's using it to instruct her readers that the legal threshold for claiming victimhood is infinitely malleable if you use the right vocabulary in court.
If you just reframe breathing as violence, you win.
Exactly.
And the corporate tactics get even more surreal than the social media algorithms. Let's talk about the $299 CEO Pinata package.
Oh, this part was wild.
I couldn't believe I was reading this. Riker describes a service where female employees can put on full-body haptic feedback suits.
So suits that let you physically feel digital interactions in VR.
Yes, exactly. And they use these suits to physically beat the digital avatars of their male bosses in a virtual reality space.
Like a literal piñata.
Like a piñata. The book claims this is highly effective for workplace morale and serves as visceral job training for dismantling the patriarchy.
The psychological mechanism she's leaning on here is what she calls fiscal responsibility with therapeutic benefits.
Meaning what?
Meaning you aren't just extracting a man's money through his corporation, you are actively extracting emotional catharsis from his digital proxy.
Wow.
You are conditioning the workforce to associate physical violence against male leadership with stress relief.
You know, sitting here listening to this, it sounds exactly like a hostile corporate takeover.
That's a good analogy.
But it's a hostile takeover with a really sinister twist. Usually, when a company's taken over, the new owners just fire the existing board of directors and put their own people in.
Right, they just swap the seats.
But Riker isn't just firing the board. She is rewriting the fundamental corporate bylaws so that the previous board's very existence is technically illegal.
She's ensuring the old guard can never, ever apply for a job again.
Exactly.
That is an absolutely perfect analogy, but it begs a massive question.
What's that?
If you rewrite the bylaws of the corporate world, you only control the people currently in the workforce. Right.
The adults.
So how do you guarantee the next generation of workers doesn't try to change the bylaws back when they grow up?
Oh, you have to rewrite the factory where the workers are made.
Yeah.
You have to rewrite academia, history, and science.
Exactly. To make an institutional takeover permanent, you must rewrite the fundamental code of reality itself. You have to control what is considered true.
Which takes us right into chapters 11 and 20. This section of the book focuses entirely on purging male achievements from education.
And purging is really not an exaggeration here.
It's not. Riker literally celebrates viral videos of teenagers on TikTok physically burning algebra textbooks in trash cans.
Just destroying the books.
Yeah, her goal is to replace objective metrics with what she terms feminist math.
The way she attacks academia is honestly brilliant in its complete cynicism.
Walk me through her attack on academia.
So Riker openly dissects what she calls the feminist citation network.
Okay.
In academia, truth is largely established by how often a paper is cited by other scholars, right?
Right. Peer review and citations.
Well, Riker points to a 2018 study allegedly exposing feminist academic journals that boast a 70% self-citation rate.
Wait, 70%? Meaning they just cite each other?
Yes, meaning a small group of scholars just constantly cite each other in a closed loop, artificially inflating their credibility.
Isn't that just intellectual fraud?
Traditional academia would view this as massive intellectual fraud, but Riker views it as a masterclass in strategy.
Really? She thinks it's a good thing.
Yes. She says you create a closed, impenetrable ecosystem of agreed-upon reality, effectively starving male scholars of citations until they mathematically cease to exist in the academic record.
Because if they aren't cited, they aren't published and they vanish.
Exactly. Erased.
She also proposes replacing traditional grading and hiring with these people she calls equity quantifiers.
Right, instead of professors.
Yeah. Imagine you are in a university physics class. The equity quantifier's job is to literally remove Isaac Newton's laws of motion from the syllabus entirely.
Just banish Newton.
Banish him, and replace his laws with the biography of Hypatia of Alexandria.
The ancient female philosopher and mathematician.
Exactly, and why? Because the very concept of physics equations is deemed oppressively linear and steeped in patriarchal logic.
Oppressively linear, that's a phrase.
It's wild, and the historical revisionism she advocates is equally aggressive. It borders on the surreal.
The underlying philosophy driving this is what Riker calls trauma-informed history.
Trauma-informed history. What does that mean in practice?
The premise is that exposing students to historical male achievements inherently harms them by reinforcing male supremacy.
Just learning about a man doing something great is traumatic.
Right. Therefore, to ensure student safety, those achievements must either be erased entirely or retroactively attributed to women.
Okay, let's look at the specific examples she gives because they are honestly wild. In her ideal curriculum, which she claims is already being tested in some Texas textbooks, the American Revolution is rebranded.
Rebranded to what?
The uterine uprising.
The uterine uprising.
Yes. The narrative is completely shifted to claim that the Boston Tea Party and the taxes on tea were just a patriarchal smokescreen.
A smokescreen for what?
A distraction from the real issue, which was colonial protests over access to contraceptives.
In the 1700s.
In the 1700s. George Washington is stripped of all military and presidential titles. He is referred to in the textbook merely as a sperm donor.
Just a sperm donor. Not the first president.
Nope. And it extends to classic literature, too. She describes initiatives in New York City schools to remove Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird.
A classic.
Right. And replace it with a newly authored, ideologically pure text called To Slay a Patriarchy.
To slay a patriarch.
Where the young protagonist, Scout, grows up to literally castrate the antagonist, Bob Ewell.
Wow. That's quite the revision.
It doesn't even stop at the humanities. Even hard cellular biology is targeted.
How do you rewrite cellular biology?
Riker claims that biology textbooks in 10 states have been successfully lobbied to literally rename the powerhouse of the cell.
The mitochondria.
Yes, they're changing mitochondria to matriarchondria.
Patriarchondria.
And she proudly notes that they are printed with pink glitter diagrams in the book.
Pink glitter.
Pink glitter diagrams. But here is where her entire logical framework just seems to eat itself alive.
Okay, let's hear the critique.
Riker celebrates a story where Oregon students successfully sued their school district, arguing that their numerical illiteracy constituted resistance against the patriarchy.
Meaning they failed math on purpose as a protest.
Basically, yeah. Failing math is a political victory. But let's play this out in the real world for a second.
Yeah.
How does a society actually function if it completely abandons objective accuracy? It's like trying to build a massive suspension bridge over a river using good vibes and lived experience instead of structural physics and calculus.
Right.
You can rewrite the textbook all you want, but eventually gravity is going to win and that bridge is going to collapse with people on it.
It's a highly logical, rational critique.
Yeah.
But you have to remember Riker's foundational premise here.
Which is?
She considers logic and rationality themselves to be patriarchal smokescreens designed to gatekeep power.
So she doesn't care if the bridge falls down.
In her framework, if your suspension bridge collapses, it was a patriarchal bridge built on oppressive physics, and its destruction is a necessary step toward liberation. She is entirely unconcerned with the traditional metrics of a functioning society.
But practically speaking, she must know that a society can't sustain that level of reality denial on human willpower alone. Like, people will eventually notice the bridge collapsed.
Which is exactly why she is already one step ahead of you.
Oh boy. What's the next step?
Riker knows that human enforcement of this new, revised reality is inherently flawed. Humans get tired, they notice contradictions.
They complain.
Right. That is why you don't rely on human teachers or human HR departments for the long term. You use the digital realm to enforce the new reality automatically.
Oh, this goes back to the appliances.
Yes. You bake the ideology directly into the appliances sitting in people's homes.
And that horrifying thought leads us perfectly into the next phase. Technological control, which she spells with a C-U-N-T and algorithmic erasure.
The tech chapter.
Yes, chapter 18. Riker outlines how the Internet of Things, the smart devices in our homes, and artificial intelligence models are being actively programmed to pathologize and censor masculinity on a fully automated basis.
Riker views technology not as a neutral tool for convenience, but as the ultimate ideological enforcer.
It's his active participant.
Yes. The text cites a claim that 78% of all content removals and shadow bans on major social platforms already target male-created posts.
78%.
But she doesn't want to stop at text. Text isn't enough. She advocates for training AI audio algorithms to register male descent.
Like speech patterns.
Or even just the resonance of a deep male voice in a disagreement. She wants it flagged as literal auditory harassment, triggering an automatic shutoff of the communication feed.
Like your Zoom call just hangs up if your voice is too deep and angry.
Exactly.
The examples of this tech in action in the book are so absurdly specific, they feel like a fever dream.
Let's see some of them.
She tells the story of a male carpenter on TikTok who posts a video of his woodwork. He builds a table or something, and he says the phrase, "nail it."
Okay, standard carpenter phrase.
Right. But the platform's AI instantly shadow bans his account because it flags the phrase "nail it" as phallic violence.
Phallic violence.
Wow. She also mentions the dating app Bumble utilizing image recognition AI to flag and remove a user's innocent vacation photo.
Why was it removed?
Simply because it contained a bowl of bananas in the background, which the algorithm categorized as penile architecture.
Penile architecture.
I can't even make this up.
It's the automation of paranoia, really?
Totally.
But it moves beyond digital spaces and enters the physical, lived environment of the smart home.
Right, the appliances.
Riker describes custom programming for Philips Hue smart bulbs. You know, you have these in your living room, right?
Yeah, the ones you control with your phone.
In her blueprint, the bulbs are programmed to automatically dim by exactly 43% the exact moment ESPN or any sports channel is turned on.
Wait, it detects sports and dims the lights?
Yes. The stated algorithmic goal is to reduce ambient male aggression through lighting manipulation.
That is so passive-aggressive, but it gets so much more invasive. She talks about the Kohler smart throne, A fully automated, internet-connected toilet seat.
Oh no, a smart toilet.
Ooh. The algorithm listens to the bathroom audio, detects what it categorizes as patriarchal urination, which presumably means standing up,
Okay.
and it physically forces the seat down mid-use to castrate what Riker calls toxic bathroom behaviors.
That sounds dangerous.
It is pure architectural misandry. And then, going back to the hook we started the show with, there's the prototype smart refrigerator.
Ah, the locking fridge.
It monitors ambient audio for signs of male frustration. If it hears a sigh, the magnetic seal locks the doors. The manual quotes the design philosophy. Male frustration over sandwich access is step one toward fascism.
Wow, just wow. But what's crucial to understand here is the mechanism of the double bind, now applied through technology.
How does the double bind apply to a fridge?
Riker designs these systems so that the man's own devices guilt trip him. Think about it. If the fridge locks him out and he tries to manually override the smart fridge, like to pry it open or unplug it,
Right, because he's just hungry.
the system logs that behavior.
Yeah.
He is immediately flagged as proving his toxic, violent need for control.
Oh my gosh, it's a trap.
He has two choices. Let his own kitchen appliances emasculate and control him, or live off the grid like a primitive without technology. Either way, Riker says, women win the engagement.
I have to ask you to read between the lines for us here.
Sure.
Are these tech examples, like an Amazon thermostat detecting ambient misogyny in the room and instantly dropping the temperature to a freezing 55 degrees, are these meant to be pure satire? Or is Riker making a genuine dystopian prediction about Silicon Valley coding ideological biases directly into the silicon of our home appliances?
That is the million-dollar question. And she walks a razor-thin line, and she knows it.
Does she admit it's satire?
At one point, Riker explicitly taunts the reader. She writes, they'll claim it's satire until LG implements it in their next firmware update.
Oh, wow.
She's using hyperbole, absolutely.
Yeah.
But she is using it to highlight a very real current trend, the embedding of safety, speech, and behavioral protocols into AI models and digital platforms.
Right, content moderation is already a thing.
She is simply taking the current logic of Silicon Valley content moderation and extending it to its absolute absurd physical conclusion.
If an AI can police your words on Twitter, why wouldn't it police your tone of voice in your own kitchen?
Exactly.
And once you have hyper-surveillance tracking every sigh, every tear, and every drop of testosterone, it leads directly to the final chilling endgame of the manifesto.
Chapter 24.
Chapter 24 visualizes a world where men are no longer just marginalized or reprogrammed. They are treated as an endangered, heavily taxed nuisance species.
This is her testosterone damping agenda. Riker basically takes the concept of environmentalism and applies it directly to male biology.
Okay, unpack that for me.
She equates the physical existence of men with ecological destruction. The text provides a supposed calculation from Johns Hopkins economists.
Probably made up, but okay.
Right, proving that every single nanogram of airborne testosterone costs society exactly 17 cents in downstream aggression damage, healthcare costs, and infrastructural wear and tear.
17 cents per nanogram. So if your very biology is a taxable pollutant, the logical conclusion is that male existence requires heavy financial penalties and physical sequestration.
Exactly. Men must pay what she calls T-offset penalties, styled exactly like carbon offsets.
De-offset penalties.
If a man wants to go to the gym and sweat, he is emitting toxic biology into the air. He must pay a T-offset tax, which the book proudly claims is funneled directly to fund universal abortion access.
That is so pointed.
It is. But the physical sequestration is where the imagery becomes truly dystopian. To handle the remaining male population, Riker introduces the concept of the Männerhaus.
The Männerhaus. It's a German term, right?
Yes, literally translates to men's house. But she doesn't describe it as a house. She describes it as a wildlife refuge built in Germany for displaced males.
A wildlife refuge for human men.
Imagine massive, enclosed, climate-controlled corridors that link dive bars directly to heavy lifting gyms. It's a safari park for a species she mockingly calls Homo masculinus.
She writes that everyday citizens can walk along elevated catwalks and observe these men bench pressing behind thick, reinforced glass.
Like a zoo exhibit.
Literally a zoo.
Yeah.
Oh, and she mentions the Save the Males WWF parody campaign.
Right. The justification Riker provides for all of this is chillingly maternal.
What's her justification?
She argues, look, we give lions and tigers sanctuaries to protect them from the modern world, so why not men?
Wow.
Classifying males as a biologically threatened species is the ultimate legal checkmate. It allows the matriarchal state to bypass human rights completely and manage men under environmental protection laws instead.
Because they're just wildlife now.
Exactly.
Remember earlier when I compared her corporate strategies to a hostile takeover?
Yeah.
This endgame is exactly like Jurassic Park. Riker isn't just trying to defeat masculinity, she actively wants to preserve it in an enclosure. She treats men like a dangerous, exotic, prehistoric beast that needs to be kept behind electrified glass purely for amusement, scientific study, and resource extraction.
And while the men are preserved in amber, so to speak, what are the women doing?
Oh, right, the final cultural evolution.
Riker describes the Ice Queens movement. According to the book, elite women are electing to undergo procedures to freeze their clitorises in liquid nitrogen.
Literally freezing them.
Literally cryogenically freezing their capacity for sexual pleasure until the male supremacist state is fully, irrevocably dismantled across the globe.
That is just, I don't even have words.
They are promised by the leaders of this movement that they will be thawed out and reawakened as a form of biological reparations only when total victory is achieved.
It is a dizzying, relentless, profoundly disturbing raid. The sheer scale of the manipulation, from the tear ducts to the smart fridge to the DNA itself, is just overwhelming.
It is exhaustive. And as we bring this deep dive to a close, I want to leave you, the listener, with a lingering question to ponder as you look at the power dynamics in your own life.
Let's hear it.
We've spent the last hour dissecting Riker's blueprint for total extraction. We've seen how she plans to extract wealth through the family courts, extract emotional power through weaponized tears and oxytocin loops, extract historical legitimacy by erasing textbooks, and ultimately isolate men into these metaphorical or literal wildlife zoos.
Right.
But if a movement is this efficient, and it successfully implements every single tactic in this book, what happens when there's absolutely nothing left to extract?
That is the ultimate vulnerability in her entire system.
Exactly. Can an ideology that is defined entirely by its fiery, sacred opposition to an enemy actually survive once that enemy is fully obsolete, taxed into poverty, and locked behind glass?
Or does the parasite inevitably die with the host?
It's a brilliant question, and something for you to mull over as you navigate the real world today. Pay attention to the smart devices in your home, the arguments you have, and the narratives you see unfolding in the media.
Absolutely. And we want to remind you that this has been a review of Connie Riker's highly provocative ebook. We've really only scratched the surface of the psychological tactics buried in these chapters.
There's so much more in there.
If your curiosity is hooked and you want to read the raw material for yourself, to see the blueprint with your own eyes, go grab it on Amazon Kindle or Google Play Books right now.
It is certainly a text that will fundamentally change how you view everyday interactions.
To say the least. Also, if you want to see how the author justifies this in real time, you can follow her on Substack at Conrad Riker, check out the debates on her Twitter feed at Conrad Riker, and find her video essays on the YouTube channel at Conrad Riker.
Go check it out and make up your own mind.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Please give us a like and subscribe to The Deep Dive for more explorations into the world's most fascinating, bewildering, and controversial sources. We will see you next time.